A very good morning and a warm welcome to one and all present over here, teachers. Thank you so much for joining on another Super Center workshop. And this time we are getting into action research. We have done the same topic last year as well, and this has been given a lot of importance by CBSE, NCRT, CIET as well. In fact, when you look into the action research on NCRT, there's a separate course altogether. There's a detailed content on action research in the National Repository of Open Educational Resources, NROER, by Government of India. So this particular topic is quite important to understand from conceptual point of view. From practice point of view, how much of it is applicable, or are we already practicing it, or things like that, we're going to discuss from this particular session. I would like to thank all the teachers out there for joining regularly, consistently in spite of the vacations. Thank you so much for joining. I would also like to ensure that all the teachers get their certificates. So remember to please fill up the reflection form coming right after the session and ensure to score more than 7 out of 10. And once that is done on the same day, the certificate will be dispatched within 10 days time. And considering more number of participation right now, there are times where few teachers are getting it in delayed. But make sure that you please follow up with Swati at the rate superteacher.in. Will ensure to provide the certificate to all the teachers. Let's quickly get on to the session. And today it's quite an interesting and lovely day. I think this particular day is like not just one day where we remember this most important person of our life. This is to all the teachers out there, all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day to one and all present over here, teachers. It's all the I would say there are a lot of times when you get criticized positively or negatively by people across, which never affects us. But a simple appreciation by mother that you're doing a good job actually takes you to the next level high. Even if they scold, you get hurt. But end of the day, we all expect that one little appreciation, a call from the mother. So thank you so much for being present today, teachers. An important and auspicious day according to me. Happy Mother's Day to one and all. Let's quickly get on with the session. And today, action research, and we are there at the 112th session. Most of you might actually know about action research, and people who have been doing probably masters in education or MPhil, you would have learned about this particular term. And importantly, even in B.Ed, you've got a small area, I think in psychology, right? Action research. Let's get to understand what exactly it is. Excuse me. I think you should be able to hear me right now. Yeah, great. So action research is that particular area where you do certain things instantly, like formatively, to clear certain aspects and make sure that that's applied then and there. You don't really get involved in too much of documentation, but you take an action for something. We're going to talk about this in detail, and at the same time I also would like to bring a parallel over here. It's that one side we're talking about the technological advancement that the world is going towards, to the kind of artificial intelligence programs that are present out there, with the speed at which the developments are happening, and people traveling from one place to another virtually and getting nearly the same feeling. These are some of the greatest aspects, but on the other side we still have the troubles like the border issues, the war, and there's a lot of politics behind at the global level. So it's like one side we're progressing at a speed that is unimaginable, another side we're actually progressing in the negative aspect still, which is again unimaginable. There are a lot of things that we thought that this would never happen in our generation, but it's actually happening. Why are we even talking about it? Let's understand this through action research. So in this particular session, we'll try to understand research and some of the characteristics of research up to a certain extent. And then we'll try to understand the difference between research, discovery, and invention. And then we'll understand the different types of research a little bit, not much. And then finally, what are the steps to be followed in order to conduct a research? The moment we talk about research, it's all about identification of a problem and solving it. That's it. And under research, there are multiple pedagogies that is applied. For example, computational thinking is one way of finding a problem and finding a solution to it. Design thinking is another pedagogy under which you find find a problem and find a solution to it. There are multiple processes involved in order to identify a problem, multiple processes involved to follow a certain process to solve that particular problem. People call it as decomposition. Some people call it as abstraction method is important. Some people say that you don't really have to focus on the problem. You just focus on the solution, and irrespective of whatever kind of problems comes, you keep following the same thing. One day the nature will take care of its own solutions. I'll give you an example very much related to this. In the most important format of research, you would have seen that when you talk about a certain concept in class, and if the children are not able to understand, say for example, one of the indication is, say Bindya ma'am is talking to the students and suddenly some children are yawning in the class, and immediately Bindya ma'am is able to understand the way she's teaching over there right now at this particular moment is probably not applicable and the children are finding it boring. Do you really go back and write it in on your lesson plan stating that the children found the class today to be boring, so tomorrow I have to do something else? No. Instantly looking at the yawn, you immediately probably call out that particular person, ask a question so that that particular girl or boy becomes attentive in the class, and the rest of the children, just because she was called, everybody else become attentive, something like that. You take an instantaneous action at that particular moment in order to solve the problem of your class being boring. This is action research in single line. It is heavily complicated like anything in NCRT document or any other document for that matter. So the moment we use the word research, let's first understand what exactly they're trying to talk about it in terms of research. So basically, it refers to the process wherein activities are carried out systematically to find a solution to the problem. Now, when we talk about the systematic, approach, it's basically something that's pre-written. So, for example, the following: it's systematic, it is problem-oriented, it refers to a process, it involves activities, and it leads to a solution. This is quite obvious, right? That's called as research. I would like to quickly live show you the document where they mention about action research in this particular format. You will be able to see action research by NCERT and CIET. Now, this particular PDF document will be very helpful for everyone out there, and I hope I'm able to see. Great. See this. Now, online course on action research. Okay, this was actually done. This is a report. These are the ones. So this link I'm sharing with everyone on the chat as well, so that if anybody is interested to delve deep in this particular topic, kindly go through. You'll be able to see this in 3, 2, 1. I think you got to see that. Oh, you do it in the class. Screen is not visible. Please check your display, ma'am. So you can see that research concept types and steps of action research, integration of ICT in teaching, learning, and assessment. Basically, they got this into this, talking about how the problem of students learning differently. There are different types of learners. ICT can solve that. And this was a project on action research, that by action research, I would say. Like the teachers understood that this has to be done using technology, but they were not really able to integrate it. So let us try doing it using information and communication technology. And that's why ICT, integration of ICT in teaching, learning, and assessment, more like a practical approach of action research, a simple project that they've displayed. And right after that, process of action research. That's it. This will give a very good picture. We're not going to get into the details of report writing. Eventually, we will. So for this, I think you should be able to see this. Let me show you full screen as well. So it's a simple, 13-page document giving you a clear picture on what action research is all about. Before the beginning of the session, I believe it's my duty to show this to you, so that in this case, first I'll do this. Okay, you'll be able to see this. Great. Come on. So, hmm. So meaning of action research, so they've given the complete details, and most of the content, in fact 80% of the content that we're going to speak about, is taken from this particular document of NCRT and CIET. But let's quickly understand this in an interactive manner. Like let's go for a video and have a quick synopsis of what exactly action research is all about, and then we'll further continue with a little more examples, and then we'll be done with the session today. Here we go. I am sharing the sound, and I think you should be able to see the video and hear the audio.
Teaching is a craft. It's both an art and a science, which is why great teachers always experiment and make tons of mistakes. But how do you know what's actually working? Well, one option is action research. Here you can identify a question, test out a strategy, gather data, and determine if it works. The end result is something dynamic, innovative, and tied directly to your classroom. Action research dissolves the barrier between the participants and the researchers. In other words, the teacher actively participates in the situation while also conducting the research. There are many action research frameworks, but they generally follow a similar process. You start out in phase 1, planning for research. Here you begin with inquiry, where you define a specific research question. It needs to be something that can actually be tested. Next, you conduct a literature review to gain a deeper understanding of the topic. Finally, you move into the design process, where you determine your data methods, consider ethical issues, get the required permissions, create deadlines, and set up the systems. Next, you move into the action phase. This is where you engage in multiple cycles of experimentation and data collection. Your data collection might include qualitative data like observations, artifacts, and interviews, or quantitative data like rubric scores, surveys, or achievement data. Afterward, you move to analysis. You'll often start by organizing the data with charts or graphs and looking for specific trends. You might also discuss it with peers, free write in a journal, or create a cluster map before eventually writing out your results. Finally, you have your conclusion. This is where you share your research with the world and reflect on your own practice. This will ultimately lead to newer questions, and the cycle will continue as you refine your craft as a better, more creative teacher.
It's a simple video on the representation of action research in action, something like that. And here, when we talk about the process, let me show you the um, I hope you should be able to see it. Perfect. You got it. So first of all, we have a research idea, and then you get into a cycle of taking some action. So rightly said, planning comes first, and then you observe, and then you reflect on it. Something is working, something is not working. Then again, you go with refining the plan. Then again, you see it's working, it's not working. That's it. So there is if you talk about action research, it's not a prescriptive method. That's the first thing that we need to know. So it's not something like that. There is a concept which is already having a step from 1 to 10, and you need to follow all of them in a particular order. Action research doesn't allow that. It has got a lot of disadvantages because of that, because you are going to come to a conclusion on a certain strategy of teaching, and you're going to believe that it is right, considering only one classroom. So action research may not be applicable, or the result of the action research that you're doing right now may not be applicable in various other scenarios in future. Hence, it's very important for us to understand that action research is not something that is written on a stone. You keep on changing it, and it's an ever evolving process. It could be a matter of you have a big strength in the school, and you want to bring all the children to the assembly hall, but the space in the assembly hall is not really sufficient. Then you come up with an idea. By the time you're getting the students to the assembly hall, you realize that it's going to be quite cramped. So immediately the principal takes a decision saying that let's have the assembly only for the primary classes today, and let's do the assembly for the secondary classes tomorrow, something like that. That's action research. It's like on the spot you've taken a decision. And this, when it is documented and submitted to the management, that's where reporting comes into picture. Now we'll talk about reporting on some other session, because reporting is an important area for any school management. So this is something, 5 steps to action research, that's mentioned on the CIT portal as well. First of all, making the commitment is all about identifying the problem and questioning that. Now, when we talk about identification of the problem, it doesn't mean that it's kind of there is no solution to it, nothing like that. Whenever we see a problem, it actually means that we have a solution, but we're working towards a better solution. Rather than doing this, why not this? For example, there was a time when the teacher in this particular class, the children were coming inside the class, and she was able to take the attendance. Unfortunately, today the time is over, and the students are coming late to the class, and she needs to complete her portion as well. So the class teacher takes the decision of not to take the attendance today. The class teacher, while going back, after the period realizes that this cannot be the case every day. So I need to figure out a solution. So the class teacher is doing something really amazing. She's saying that let me not be worried about the attendance. Let me take care of this attendance by assigning this task to the class monitors. Now, the moment you say the class monitors, these monitors will take the responsibility of who is present and who is absent, and they write it on the board. Total number of students in the class, total number present, total number absent, and the names of the absentees will be written. All the teacher needs to do is just to make note of all the absentees, and during her free periods she can mark the attendance. The ability of a teacher to realize that there is a problem of making taking the attendance at that particular instant and assigning this task to the students, that's action research. In fact, interestingly, there's one more concept. Suppose if this teacher is really advanced technologically, let's assume that advanced technologically, this teacher has the ability to come up with the method of automatic attendance tracker, something like that. So she's able to bring a device to the school, and she's keeping it on the door of the classroom, and the children are all having an ID card, right? She's able to put a chip sort of thing on the ID card. So whenever the students are coming inside, automatically the attendance is marked. Something like biometric, but here it is completely automatic. The students, they are entering the class and it's get marked. Now, this is again another solution towards having an effective method of attendance tracking. So the point is, tracking attendance was always there. How effectively can we do it? The solutions keep on getting improvised. So action research is a continuous process. It's not that you really need to have a problem that's unsolvable, but if you have this mentality of, oh, today I have this issue, let me solve it out. And that's where you don't really have to get involved with an ideal algorithm generally somebody follows, or somebody like who has already written it. That's where action research plays a different role altogether. So it's like making the commitment, the call to inquiry, designing a study, basically questions and answers on that particular problem, making sense of experience. Now, this is very important area where you collect the data. Data is all about having an information that this problem can be effectively solved or not. Something like that. I'm facing this attendance problem because I have to complete my portion, and I'm taking at least 5 to 10 minutes every day away from my period just to take the attendance. Now, every day, 5 to 10 minutes is a data. And if I calculate this for the complete academic year, it accounts to at least 7, 8 periods. 7, 8 periods, if I'm missing out, then that means I'm definitely going to fall short of periods in the last part of the academic year. That's data. Now, interestingly, data here can be classified into two areas of qualitative data and quantitative data. I think most of you would have seen this Google Forms where the data is collected. Our data analysis of Google Form will show you how many people participated. For that, I would like to quickly show that to you. For that, I need to go to Super Sunday Workshop. Say, for example, I'm just going to values education, and I'm opening the Google Form. So the moment I open Google Form, you'll be able to see the responses where many people were, I mean, whatever responses. But look at this. Look at this. This is an important area. Under action research, the data speaks a lot. So I'm zooming it in a little bit. You'll be able to see this. So you can see that last time 2,659 people qualified with the score. And let me come down. Let me come down. Now, when I talk about this, so you'll be able to see the representation of the class, the board. So you can see that out of 2,659, there were 2,139 teachers who were from a CBC school. Yeah, and then from ICSE 439, and then state board 70 teachers, and then IB curriculum 18 teachers, Cambridge 11 teachers. There were some teachers who were under homeschooling as well, 5 of them. Then National Institute of Open Schooling, 3 of them, and there were some other categories as well, 19, probably the British curriculum or Australian curriculum and things like that. This is giving me a very clear picture that next Super Sunday topic when I'm talking about, majority of my teachers are like CBSE. So let me take a topic from CBSE. That's how my understanding is. And this is happening instantly. Right after the session, when I launch the Google form, I'm able to get this information. When I come down, you also can see the other areas, something like 2,659 responses. And I can see that 21.1% of the people, like out of 2,659, 562 people are from Telangana. So that means my reach in Telangana region is really high. But when I click on this, West Bengal is the next, 514. It's like 19.3% of the people are participating from West Bengal. I've got another major area, 8% over here. It's Uttar Pradesh, 214, 7% is from Karnataka, 185, Maharashtra 198, and let's check on this. Andhra Pradesh 24, and uske upar hai Middle East. I've got 5 people joining from Middle East as well, and then Gujarat 46, and it continues. I hope you're able to understand, teachers. So in this way, we can have a clear picture through data capture. Now, under data capture, there is a catch. Now, when we talk about data capture with respect to the feedback, say for example, we talk about, so people write your feedback. Say they write good, they write good. If there is any queries, no. Excellent session, good session, blah blah blah. Can I really convert that in the form of quantitative analysis? Because with qualitative analysis, you can't really come to, a short conclusion. Now that all the feedback is looking at it, majority of the people are saying good, excellent, and things like that. I'm assuming that Super Sunday sessions are really good. What if we've got the mixed opinion? I've got out of 2600, I'm just skimming through everything. Some people have written, no, it's not that great. Some people have written, it's average or it's moderate or something like that. Can somebody put it out? What could be done in order to make it really understandable that the sessions are doing good? I think some of you are able to understand the idea. Exactly. That's where this point of qualitative getting converted to quantitative. So, for example, a linear scale could be there. Rate this particular session from 1 to 5 out of your satisfaction. You say it's extremely good. Do you really mean it is 5? Or you mean to say 5 plus? Something like that. So, this is a very interesting way of conversion of qualitative to quantitative. Now, this qualitative analysis to quantitative analysis goes to an extent where everything that we do in our life depends on that. For example, you purchase something on Flipkart or Amazon, you'll see that the star ratings play an important role in selecting the product. So you'll see that this has got 60,000 reviews. LG washing machine is the best, or Haier is the best, or Samsung is the best, whatever it is. How do you know that? It's the rating that plays an important role. Sometimes what happens is these companies are really smart and make sure that the ratings, for the product that they favor or get the maximum commission, they increase the ratings at the back end. Such kind of things also have. They call it as boosting or something like that. I hope you're able to understand. In fact, I would also like to add an extra information over here, which most of you might not know. It was a realization to me, so I'm letting you know. So there is this platform called as IMDb. I think most of you know IMDb. IMDb is a portal on which movies are reviewed. They talk about who are the stars, what is the cast, what are the awards that the movie received, etc., etc. Now that particular IMDb platform is actually owned by Amazon. I'll repeat it. That particular IMDb platform is actually owned by Amazon. So whenever you look into IMDb movies that are listed in Amazon Prime Video, the rating will be higher. Did you notice that? No, that's the marketing aspect behind an organization. The point over here is the rating part is, from qualitative to quantitative. In fact, AI has taken over right now. AI has taken over, and if there are 10,000 reviews, a user need not go through all the 10,000 reviews. They understood the problem that they will not have the time. The user will not have the time. So immediately an AI is appointed over there, an artificial intelligence program, which will summarize all the reviews and put on the top. So customers feel that so and so product is doing a good job or not, something like that. So all these steps towards solving a problem instantly, or identifying the problem right now for this particular moment and getting it resolved, is coming under the category of action research. I hope it makes sense. Now, why are we why are we so much focused on this? We're focused on this because recently in one of the workshop also, like where they talked about the CPD last time it was 50 hours of training program, right? 25 hours by the CBSE government bodies, 25 by internal training programs by the school and the Sahodaya complexes. Now, what actually happened was 25 hours that was assigned for the internal practices by Sahodaya or the school principals and things like that. They took only one or two topics and they completed 25 hours of training. It's like that could be the topic of yoga for that matter, and they completed. And then they understood that let's do something even more simpler. Let's have a session on, say, something related to communication skills or something related to dressing styles, and they accounted that for another 5 6 hours. 25 hours got easily completed. However, the expectation of the management of the CBSE was not about just these topics, and that is the reason in the current notification they clearly mentioned that this particular type of training under the three categories of knowledge and practices, and then right after that, professional development and growth, and values and dispositions. Under these three categories, you need to have sessions up to certain hours. They clearly mention that. So now you can't do that. So this is another application of action research. You do something, you found that the thief is having another method of solving or you know creating the crime, then the police has to come up with another methodology. That's it, as simple as that. Let me quickly share my screen and talk about the next area and the final area on action research. I hope you're able to see the screen. Okay, great. You'll be able to see it in 3, 2, and 1. Great. Now comes an important area of discovery, invention, and research. See, action research can lead to any of these things. Let us understand this one by one. When we talk about discovery and invention, it's a thin line of difference. For example, X-ray was discovered incidentally in 1895 by German scientist Wilhelm Röntgen. So this is there in the NCRT document. It's taken from there only. India was also discovered incidentally by Vasco da Gama in 1497. This was not intentional. I hope you're able to understand. So you did not even identify your problem, but you got a solution. It's like that. That's where discovery comes into picture. But when we talk about invention, it is about adaptation. I saw something somewhere, and let me apply that over here, and let me figure out something. So the steam engine was invented by James Watt. Let us understand the process of inventing steam engine. How did it actually get invented? So James Watt saw that the steam coming out of the boiling water in a utensil was able to lift the lid put over the vessel. I think most of you know, whenever the water is boiling, the vessel on sorry, the lid on the vessel will start vibrating, and that's how you come to know that the water is already boiled, right? It reflected that the steam has the energy to push the lid upwards. James Watt thought of using this idea, and the steam engine was invented through activities carried out systematically. After that, let's boil the water. Let's put that steam over there, and let's see if the train is moving or not. Interestingly, the train started moving. Thus, steam engine was the outcome of activities carried out systematically. Inventions are applied researches. So here in this case, it's like an adaptation. Now, when we talk about research or action research, it's the process of doing something with which you can either discover something or invent something. Finally, coming to the last part of the research refers to a process which is scientific or systematic in nature. So its steps are also derived from the scientific process. These are like identification of a problem, a formulation of hypothesis, data collection, data analysis, conclusion. I'll repeat it. Identification of problem, formulation of hypothesis. This is the place where you define the problem clearly and you try to find a solution. But for that solution, you try to collect more information, which is actually data collection, analyze that particular data, and then conclusion. In fact, if you look into all the process that happened in the past, like look at the developments that happened in finding the COVID vaccine. They followed the steps. In fact, the medical practitioners did not really have sufficient data to even tell that this is the right vaccine or not. People were confused. Some people took the vaccine, some people did not take the vaccine and still surviving, something like that. So how organized this whole vaccination invention, it's all about that, right? So that's the place where research actually happened. But that cannot be considered as action research under the case of vaccine, because you need to follow the process. You can't randomly take up things. That is the reason research can be categorized into multiple areas. So this is with respect to steps of research. Now I would like to play a small video on data collection by this company called a Survey Sparrow. I think everybody knows about it. It's like Google Form, but let's understand what type of data collection tools are available out there. So for this, I would like to share my screen and again share the sound, and please watch this. One of the important steps towards action research.
Types of data collection tools. Data collection is the process of gathering data and evaluating it systematically to obtain insights that solve business challenges and overcome them. The success of any research depends solely on the data which drives it. Thus, even though there are multiple data collection tools available, picking the right one for your scenario is essential. Let's evaluate and find out where best to use the 4 different types of data collection tools, which are interviews. Interviews are a method of collecting data where participants engage in face-to-face interactions with an interviewer, and their inputs get recorded. Interviews help to obtain more profound knowledge about why respondents have given the said answers. Moreover, they provide an opportunity for stakeholders to interpret complex audience behavior, their experiences, and their opinions. Example: interviews are most suited in situations where the topic under study is complex or sensitive. For example, any sensitive topic like religion or political views. The presence of an interviewer helps the respondents to understand the questions better. Focus groups. Focus groups are similar to an interview but consist of a group of respondents who belong to diverse walks of life. These respondents are carefully picked and subjected to a lively discussion in the presence of a moderator. For example, beta testing of a new product and understanding user experience. Observation. Observation is a data collection technique where audience behavior is studied directly with minimal intrusion. For example, a researcher studying the sleep patterns of various subjects, or a psychology researcher understanding child behavior. Surveys. Surveys are one of the most popular data collection tools, which collect data from subjects through various sources like emails, social media, text messages, and the like. For example, collecting employee feedback in organizations to measure employee engagement and level of satisfaction. If you want to learn more about data collection tools, please click the links in the description. And also please give us a thumbs up if you liked the video, and don't forget to press that subscribe button. We'll be back with another exciting video soon. But for now.
So that's with respect to the service pair on data collection methodologies. There are multiple other methods which you can. Examination can be one of the best methods of collecting data on where the students are standing on so and so topic. That's why we call it as assessment for learning, right? So the point over here is action research as a topic is not something that's constant for every teacher out there. It's quite flexible. It's quite interesting for the flexibility character that it has, and it's quite doable in the class. It's just that if you're if you're conscious about that we're doing data collection right now, that we're doing this data collection towards action research, the process becomes more refined, and that's the reason CBSE and NCRT were quite emphasizing the fact that you need to apply action research. And in education setup, action research is quite doable, considering the fact that every day there's a learning. In an organization, identifying a problem itself is a difficult task. It's like you have got very less number of people, and everybody has got their own character of or mood of doing something. But in a particular classroom setup, you know that this is the learning outcome. We know that this is the learning objective. Hence, in order to achieve that, what are the steps that we could take is like matters the most. That's the reason action research is emphasized to a large extent. Now, I would like to quickly tell you something related to why action research. So say, for example, let me show you. Great. So there are multiple methods with which the action research cannot really happen. So for example, one of them is there is something called as traditional scientific research. Now, when we talk about traditional scientific research, it's like a step there which is already put over there, and you need to follow each and every one of them irrespective of the outcome. So say, for example, you know that the school has got the rule of communicating in English throughout the day. Let's have this particular rule by the school, okay? And they've got various other HR rules that we need to follow. You know that in the classroom, when you're teaching the students, when you're teaching in English, the children are not really able to understand. Now, when the children are not really able to understand, you tend to speak in the mother tongue or the language that the child would be able to understand and try to change it. But the rules say that you're not supposed to do that. Hence, you try to come up with an idea to use simple words in English, and you still continue the same. I hope you're able to understand. Action research process would make sure that you change the language and immediately convey the message and make sure the child is understanding it. But here in this case, if you follow the scientific approach that the school has adopted since a very long time, and they have the fixed rule, and they say that you need to talk in English only, you are in a position to use the right words in English so that the child can understand, or maybe you repeat the same instruction multiple times. So, traditional scientific method, when you do it again and again, when you use different words, first thing is the intention of the school to have the English language getting improvised by the children gets applied, and the children are able to understand. They learn extra words. You get the ability to speak in English at the same time. Make sure the same topic is conveyed to the students. So here, this is a very good analogy of understanding that traditional scientific research or action research, both play an important role, and doesn't mean that one is superior over the others. It's just about the flexibility. There is one more area called as top down or expert driven research. Now, expert driven research or top down approach is generally a hierarchy that is set by various scientists across. For example, Benjamin Bloom. We all know that Bloom's taxonomy clearly states that in order to remember something, we need to understand the concept very clearly. Now, only when we are able to understand the concept and remember it, we'll be able to apply it regularly. And when we are able to apply it regularly, we will be able to see multiple outcomes. And these outcomes lead you to something called as analysis. Oh, if I do this like this, or if I go to the school in this particular path, I'll reach the school on time, something like that. Now, the ability of you to decide that I have to use this particular path to go to the school, coming under the category of evaluation. And right after that, probably you come up with an idea and say that this path has been never been taken. Let me create this path and go to the school in the most effective manner, something like that. The point over here is Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy is more like a top down, expert driven approach. You can't really change it. However, there are some teachers in this group who say that I really don't follow Bloom's taxonomy. It's like, Bini ma'am must be like, directly start the class with an experience. I'll ask the students to come to the laboratory. I'll directly give them convex lens, concave lens, or I'll ask them to play around with a laser light. And then I'll talk about something related to reflection and refraction of light, something like that. So here in this case, you did not really follow Benjamin Bloom, even though you mentioned that in the lesson plan. You're trying to have your own method, and then you figure it out over the period of time. So you didn't follow Bloom's taxonomy. So top-down expert-driven approach is not wrong. But if the teacher says that, no, I find this method to be better, that's where action research is helping that teacher to say that. Otherwise, you can't go and argue with your principal or vice principal saying that I will do like this only. If you have a research paper, probably you have done a documentation on that by submitting the report somewhere. You have a paper. You just tell the principal, this is what I have done. So according to me, Bloom's taxonomy doesn't really apply. One last point before I conclude on this particular topic is there was this concept of multiple intelligence. We'll touch that very soon, probably in the next to next Sunday, which is like something called as Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. I think you know that, right? The eight ways of learning. Now, like you are a visual learner, you are a kinesthetic learner, you are a naturalistic learner, you are an interpersonal learner, intrapersonal learner. Multiple types are there, like eight of them. There was a ma'am who submitted a theory stating that multiple intelligence doesn't really work. It is completely a fake theory. According to me, what I believe with my multiple action researches is that all the children have got all the abilities. It is just that it depends on the teacher on what area are you focusing on. If your teacher is giving you a lot of examples from the natural surroundings by taking you out to the forest, to the rivers, or to the garden which is there in the school, and then teaching you probably the process of photosynthesis, that's the ability of the teacher. And it doesn't mean that only one child is able to understand in that. Everybody can understand that. What really dominates depends on a teacher's perception on that particular topic and methodology. So just because one of the classes made you prove that you were able to understand something visually, doesn't mean that you are a visual learner. Now, this is actually one of the theories submitted by another teacher stating that I don't really want to follow the multiple intelligence theory and continue the classes. Is that convincing enough? It is convincing enough for that particular teacher through her action researches, and she made a document out of it. That is the reason we say that the top down or the the expert driven approaches is completely different from action researches. This cannot be changed, but this can be changed. That's it. So action research is all about a teacher's ability to take the step towards doing something by looking at a problem instantly at that particular moment. That's it. That's it. Just wanted to provide an exposure towards this particular topic, teachers. I've sent the link of NCRT document right on the chat. That brings me to the end of the session today. And I would like to meet you again in the next Super Sunday workshop with another interesting topic. Yeah. So that's it from my side for Action Research. Happy Mother's Day to one and all teachers. We'll meet you again probably in the multiple intelligence theory in the next session or next to next session. I need to look into it. Thank you so much. Until I see you the next time. Jai Hind. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Reflection form is coming on the chat. Thank you. You're right, Dolly ma'am. After looking into multiple documents and theories, you realize one day that whatever you've been doing was way better than whatever is already written, including Bloom's taxonomy for that matter. That's why action research is important. Thank you, Nisha ma'am. Thank you, Bisma ma'am. I would request everybody to take up one small project in the school and do the action research on the same, produce it to your principal. And, that's probably the extension of the Super Sunday workshop. Probably, probably. Great, great. Thank you, Ruth, ma'am. Thank you so much. No queries. Done. Spend time with your family, teachers. Happy Super Sunday to one and all. Bye, everyone.